What up? Yo, thank you so much for checking out this channel. Hey, if this video brings you any value, if you like it, if it taught you anything, at the end of this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe so that you do not miss anything that we put out. It would be greatly appreciated from us at YFC, Fresno, and for the team. It's just a really good encouragement for us to keep on making this kind of content. We've been putting out some videos lately, and we put out these new videos about Gen Z and Jesus. Basically talking about how Gen Z views the gospel. And in this next video you're gonna watch, Jessica and myself, Jessica's my wife, we sat down on Zoom with some students from Buchanan High School. And we talked to them about what it looks like to be in Gen Z and to be following Jesus. Check it out. What are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about your generation? Go ahead.
Going along with that, like Gen Z, I feel like move really quickly, like you said, like with the music and stuff, but I feel like in general, we all move really quickly through everything. So
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of translates into relationships too, where I feel like our generation has a lot of surface level, like just from like social media, especially. It's like we're friends, but have we ever talked in person, or do you just go to Clovis North and I follow you? You know, like that type of thing. I feel like it can sometimes seem like we're disconnected, even though we're extremely connected.
That's good.
And to like add on to the whole Instagram thing, I think that millennials don't really understand how hard it is to be in our generation because of social media. And I think a lot of the times they're like, oh, well, you have all this technology. You don't have to worry about this or this or this. Like back in my day, we had to actually go to the library and find books to write an essay and like stuff like that. And I think a lot of the times, like they think that technology has made our lives easier, when in reality, I feel like a lot of the times the negatives outweigh the positives.
You're absolutely
100. All right, so my next question is, and I really want like everyone to like chime in on this one.
We want to hear from you too, Sophia.
Definitely. So this question is, what does it mean to have a relationship with Jesus? So from your point of view, what does it mean to have a relationship with Jesus?
okay, so I feel like for me, because I feel like I've studied this a lot, and like you can have a relationship with Jesus, you read the Bible, like you study the word, whatever, but I feel like having a real relationship with God is like actually taking the time to talk and pray and like have that like relationship as if it was like your best friend, like that, and like sitting there and like talking to God, like, and I feel like it's almost better for me, like I talk out loud because like it feels more real, like, or I'll like literally just like sit outside and just talk to God, because like it feels more like I'm talking to my friend. So I feel like you really have to like go deeper than just, oh, I pray, I read the Bible, I study the word, like.
Do you conversate with God?
Do you oh my God.
Yeah, I think
I love that. And I totally agree that like I either have to write my prayers out or speak in my car or in my room like out loud, because otherwise like my mind is racing and then I just like lose my train of thought, or it doesn't feel real and that type of thing. So just to keep me on track, and like you said, having a conversation for me is like out loud. And so I definitely do that as well. And I think, what does it mean to have a relationship with Jesus? I think for me, it's just like recognizing that like I'm always striving for perfection that I'm never going to reach, because I was born a sinner. And so he's filling that gap in my life of like striving to reach a point of perfection, which is never going to happen. And so recognizing that like I need him and like he's there for me and he wants me.
I totally relate to that, G, because the whole like perfection thing of you want to be a perfect Christian can lead to like this almost religion over relationship type thing, where you just like you're reading your Bible, you're doing like all the things, but you aren't really like talking to God. And I think that's something that I've become more aware of in myself, is like I have to know when I'm like you know, like I have to talk to God and I have to rely on him and not just read the Bible and take notes at church and stuff like that.
Love it. Love it.
For me, my relationship, I feel like I like having a private relationship with God. Because even though I like study a lot about him when I could. I like to take it personal and just be saying God so that it's more special. But I also like sharing the word of God so that other people can have the same relationship with him. So.
And she does, Miss Pope. Sophia and I, we were having a conversation. I don't know if you were here when we were talking about it. I shared a little bit last week about how Sophia was telling me how she was trying to encourage a friend on forgiveness. Like, how hard is that, y'all? When you have to, like, look, friend, me and you, we were both upset about this thing. I forgave this person. Now you should too. And that friend harboring I don't know if I can forgive this person. But Sophia's like, I'm not giving up on you. I'm going to continue to remind you to let go and forgive. Like, girl,
which goes back to the very first thing about about how Gen Z loves and cares differently.
Yeah.
In my generation, let me just say, in my circle of friends, it was almost like a bandwagon thing. If I don't like a person, then all my friends can't like that person either. If like I'm not friends with this person, then like it was so weird. I've even learned from our Campus Life Center students that like they have friends and then their friends will like date each other and then they'll break up. But like the friend group remains friends. Like it's not like they broke up and then like, okay, you got to choose a side. When I was growing up, it was like, no, you got to choose. Like, is it me? You gonna rock with me? You gonna rock with her? Like, there's no middle ground. But Gen Z is just completely different. It's like, yeah, it didn't work out. And like, but you guys are just hanging out. Yeah, we're not mad at each other. It just didn't work. Like, especially like in the Christian community, like, they were definitely like seeking the Lord in their relationship, and then they were like, no, it's not gonna work. But we love each other, we care for each other, and we want the best for each other.
I was just gonna add, I think another thing that's different is that like we're able to celebrate each other's accomplishments, even though we live in like this competition world. And so like hearing my friend say that like her prayer was answered or something, it's like brings me the greatest amount of joy, because I'm like, that is a perfect example of how God is working in your life. Like you should be celebrating, because I want to celebrate with you and stuff like that. And it just happened in my life group like the other day. She was like, my prayers are totally being answered. I'm like, do you even understand how crazy this is? Like, this is real life. And so just being able to celebrate like other people's accomplishments, even though like we're all competing for like things on this world that don't really matter.
All right, cool. So this will be our last question. As it pertains to the gospel, how does Gen Z want to receive the gospel? Like, how do you think your peers want to receive the gospel? Like, are you all intentional about it? How does are you guys intentional? And then how do you believe your friends would love to receive the gospel?
I think a lot of the times when I'm like trying to share the gospel with someone from Gen Z, I think the best approach, at least that I've seen, is when someone is like vulnerable enough to like reach out to you with a problem. I always kind of encourage them, but then I say, you know, when I'm struggling with this, my number one comfort is my relationship with God. And so it just kind of become like, I think when like they're sharing and that they're comfortable is when you can kind of be like, this is what works for me, and kind of lead by example almost. Because I think a lot of the times, especially people in our generation, really pick up on when you're different and like when you have like a different kind of peace and stuff.
Yeah. So Daily, I don't know if you know this, because I don't know if I've done a good job at explaining like Youth for Christ, but like our symbol is 3 rings. And one of the rings is like hearing other people's story. And then another ring is sharing your personal story. And then the third ring is sharing God's story. So I love how you said, like, when people are vulnerable and they come to you and they share something, it's okay to meet them where they're at. Like, wow, I remember when, or I'm going through this right now. So you're sharing stories. Now, how can we repair this and fix this? Let's look to Christ and let's hear God's story and know that he has a bigger picture, a bigger plan for our story. So I love that you said that. And Sophia didn't say this, but I want to call her out. I think that your answer to this is relational, Sophia. You love to have relationships with people. And I think for Sophia, it's definitely having a relationship with somebody and sharing the gospel.
I think another huge thing is like letting people know that sin is like on an equal playing field. Like there's no greater sin, because I feel like people like who get wrapped up in parties and stuff, well, like some people can see that as being worse than like being angry at someone. And it's like, no, like your thoughts of anger and like hate towards this person are just as bad as that person. So like we said, there's so much comparison going on, but like also the person partying, you're not too far gone. And so it's like, just like understanding that like we are all sinners and it's all on an equal playing field, but God filled that gap for us with Jesus and stuff. So just like, you're never too far gone, you know, because people just think, or like, it's like, some people think like, oh, I can sin a little bit. And it's like, well, Jesus didn't go to the cross a little bit. Like he died, like he gave everything for it. So like, you should not be sinning. Like, that is like the worst part
I'm putting that in my sermon. I'm preaching this weekend. Gianna.
Oh my gosh. Jesus didn't go to the cross a little bit. Oh, I think this is,
my God.
And the coolest thing is because, and I know I have one more minute. The coolest thing is that that phrase right there sums up everything that we just talked about.
Everything.
Like Jesus went the whole distance for us. So like if we're gonna share Jesus with other people, then we gotta go that whole distance.
Yeah.
And we can't halfway do it. We can't try to get away with just being like, hey, you know, if you do that, you're going to hell. And like walk away. No, you got to put in the effort, and that's going to take relationship. And one thing I love about Gen Z is you guys are so relational.
Yeah.
And you don't mess around with fake relations. Like you will tell someone in a heartbeat, yeah, we're not really friends. We just know each other. Like I've heard that so many times, like throughout 2020, and then you found out in 2020, like who your real friends were and who were the ones that were just around because it was cool to be around you. And now it's like, no, if you wasn't there during the pandemic, don't try to come around now. No, I'm just kidding. It's like you guys are really true about who you let in your life, and you're really careful with that. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you guys should hold on to and continue to use throughout your journey with Jesus. All right.
We'll see you guys.
Bye.